All right. And
Why
we
can't
are
I
in the
pop this
panel.
out?
Ooh, I do not know. Hey, what's good,
Um,
Fister?
I want to pop this out so I can put you on my screen and then start my stream, but is there,
Uh,
you
maybe
know how
it's a
there's usually like a
permission
little
thing.
icon?
Yeah, there should be an icon for it.
I'm lacking it.
That's
Well,
weird.
I guess they'll just have to make do with this screen then.
Yeah,
That's
because
fine.
it should have the full screen in the corner. But I've never had anybody ask about it, so I don't know if that actually changed anything. I mean, maybe if I give you a different permission for today and I can just change it back later. So see if
Uh,
that changes
I'm not,
anything.
let's see.
What'd I break this time?
Oh, oh, I see it now.
Cool.
You know, maybe my other monitor was blocking it and I'm just stupid.
Okay.
I have the way my monitors are set up, the one that's down below my Discord monitor, just covers up just above the taskbar. Okay, so now
I
you.
just know this room has like funky permissions because it's like only intended for streaming and to make sure that nobody can pop in randomly or like do anything crazy.
I have mine set up so that people can pop in, but it's specifically people that like I would pre-approve, like who are like always like if you're a content creator and I'm streaming, like it's probably better somebody popping in while I'm just going solo is probably going to be better than nothing.
I feel
No
you on
one.
that.
Um, but I didn't have it that way before, and I'd have just like D&D friends pop in, and I didn't know how to like socially navigate being like, you're not interesting enough for this. Like,
You're
I'm
not
gonna
ready
have
for this.
you're gonna make me more boring because I have to like talk to you about normal shit, and like it just I don't know how to do that.
Oh, see, I just get a wild Samantha every now and again, and then Epsilers happen, and then Samantha leaves, and I'm just like, fuck.
All right,
As
let's
much as I
see.
appreciate it. And a Jotaro hat. Jeez, man. You're fully decked
This is
out.
my this is like my streaming uniform. This hat for a long time. My like logo has it on it too.
Oh,
This is the
awesome.
second. This is the second one. I got the first one at Youmacon out of a grab bag, and I was like, "Oh, this what a sick hat!" And then it just got so old and beat up and gross. I actually have a YouTube video on my channel of a new hat reveal where I throw my old hat away and then I open up the box and I put on the new hat that's the same hat.
Sick. It's funny that it's a Jotaro cap, and his cap is literally part of his hair.
Uh, just since we're on the subject, who's your favorite Joestar?
Ooh, that's tough. I gotta say, it's probably Giorno.
Really?
Yeah.
Controversial take. I like Joseph. Not so much as the old man, but I really like part two is my favorite part. Just because it had the most like interesting, unique thing going on, and his character was just phenomenal, especially coming off of Jonathan, which is the worst Joestar.
Oh, don't hate on Jonathan. He
Oh,
get,
they can't hear you. Hang on. I just went live though.
oh, you're good. Yeah, Jonathan
Um.
gets a bad rap for getting his body stolen and everything else that went along with it. But if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't have Giorno. So, like, I have to appreciate what happened.
Oh, Jonathan's the worst because he is a two-dimensional, like too good to be true hero.
I mean, he is. His journey arc was pretty, like, by the numbers. But, I mean, he got some of the worst run of luck to be the first person to run into Dio. This dude pulled up and immediately kicked his dog. Like, I'm going to kill your dad. This is what we're going to do here.
He did get fucked. I would still argue that Joseph got fucked even harder. They made him a crippled old man who cheated on his wife just for writing's sake. They didn't have to do him like that at all. He had the biggest challenge out of everybody. Dio sucks, but Cars was like bonkers. He had to trick him to going to a volcano to launch him into space, and it worked.
Yeah, the writing for that was insane. He should have never beat the Pillar Man. And Cars was OP.
Yeah, it also had my favorite line, maybe in all of anime. The one dude gets his lungs ripped out, and he was like, "Lungs." He's like, "You need." I can't. It's paraphrasing, but I know if I heard it, I'd still love it just as much. He's like, "Breathing is the most critical element for a Hamon user." Like, yeah, that's the problem with his lungs getting ripped out.
I thought it would have been Caesar. Oh man. So
It was
Pelly's and
underrated for sure.
Speedwagon. So Pelly's and Speedwagon. And I still say Ario Speedwagon is best girl.
Yeah.
Couldn't choose someone better to have on your side.
A non-controversial take. I like that.
But that Breaking
so
Bad take.
how are you?
Oh, I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm waiting to hear back from. I'm like I've been in ADHD paralysis. You know what that is?
No idea.
It's some people call it ADHD waiting mode. When something really big or important is like coming up, it makes it very difficult to do anything.
Oh, I've
Because
had
it's
that
all
happen.
you can think about. So it's like super hard to do anything, even if things like you want to do it. Like your executive dysfunction or executive functions just like cease because all you can think about is the thing. And they're supposed to get a hold of me by today, but nobody ever calls you back on time for a job. And if I get it, it's like $38 an hour with like full benefits. And it's 4 10s instead of 5 8-hour shifts, which would be great.
That sounds amazing. 4 teams.
Yeah,
Gotta
that's
free up a
the
day.
dream right there. So I've been just stuck on that.
Well,
But
congrats.
otherwise, everything else been pretty decent, all things considered.
Good deal. Yeah, it just started getting hot here in California, so I'm not enjoying that. But the water heater broke, so I get to enjoy taking cold showers and don't have a choice.
That sucks, dude. Do you have a gym membership?
No, but I just take cold showers anyway, so like it really didn't bother me.
Oh. You don't have a gym member? You're pretty fit for somebody who doesn't go to the gym.
Yeah, I bought all my equipment. So like when I was rehabbing out of the wheelchair, I bought like rowing machine, pull-up bars, like all the equipment I was gonna need to rehab up, because it would be just roll out of bed, start working out kind of thing. And I knew like trying to get to the gym, especially when I couldn't drive or anything, just wasn't happening. So like since I did finally get out of the wheelchair and got my walking back and all that good stuff, I just kind of keep the same regimen going and just do it a little bit less than I did at the time and a lot more intensely.
That makes sense. Okay, fair enough. I'll accept that. So I guess before we went live, I was saying that the people that say that Breaking Bad isn't good are they're just edgelords.
Yeah, there's a couple people that
they
say
have
that.
dog shit taste. Even the attention to detail in that show is obnoxious. Like every time Walter kills somebody, he's wearing yellow. There's a lot of little Easter eggs for people in it. I can't imagine like what somebody who thinks that likes if you don't like Breaking Bad.
People mostly were complaining about the ending and like Walt technically getting away with it. And I'm like, no, that was perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah, his family, which are his son at least, innocent victim. Skylar's a huge piece of shit. Fuck her.
Oh, I hate her.
I hate her. But they got something out of having to have a terrible father. He dies in like the perfect way. Like, yeah, most shows that are great have terrible endings, and it's super hard to nail a good ending because everybody like you love this thing and you don't want it to go away, so the bar is so high. You have to make people lose the thing that they love and still be satisfied. Uh, like look at Lost, one of the best shows with a terrible ending.
Oh,
Game of
that show
Thrones.
went on way too long. And then they didn't even answer the questions they were establishing, is what made it so much
It's
more irritating.
yeah, the ending was another like it was just a big question mark. It's dog shit. Really sullied the whole thing. And then to look at Breaking Bad and go like they didn't do a good job in the ending, go fuck yourself. Let's see what you write. That's an insanely bad take. Maybe like the worst take about media I can imagine somebody having.
Yeah, people were saying like he shouldn't have been able to keep the money and that his family shouldn't have taken the money if it was going to be the case. And I
They did it
definitely don't
in the
agree.
only way that makes sense. Yeah, they made it make sense. They made it work.
Absolutely no, Colin.
His
Like,
family wouldn't have taken the money if it wasn't the way that it was done. Fuck those people. Man, I I'm like a super nonviolent guy, but I almost got in a fight in a video store once because this guy was talking shit about George Romero's Land of the Dead. It was his second to last zombie movie he ever made, and it just made me so mad because this guy clearly could hear me talking to my cousin, and I was like very much in love with the movie, and he just had to chime in to like say how shit he thought it was. Like, wasn't even talking to you. One and two, like you're wrong. John Leguizamo, Dennis Hopper in a fucking zombie movie by George Romero, like the goat of zombie movies. Like, what? He didn't even have any legitimate complaints. Like sometimes when people shit on things that are like, I had an argument with somebody before. Like, the art is subjective, but there's a difference between like objectively well done art and objective and like subjectively good art. Like, oh, I understand you like this, but like you can point out certain things like that make it bad. You know what I mean?
right. But like
Like
you know it's
misuse
good.
budget. Yeah. And Breaking Bad, I think, is an objectively good piece of art. You
I'm
might not like it, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
Oh, absolutely. And then you look at everything that came from it. Like El Camino was good. Better Call Saul was amazing in my opinion. And like the dichotomies that you see between what happened in Better Call Saul with Breaking Bad was
Oh yeah, Better Call Saul. It took me way longer than it should have to watch it, and then I did, and it was phenomenal. And to think like a show that good is a spin-off of this thing, like it's obnoxious to say Breaking Bad's bad. It's a, actually, I don't know if I might have said this before on stream or not, but I got a phone call from somebody doing a survey from AMC. Their only show they had was The Walking Dead, and they pitched to several show ideas. And the only one that sounded good to me was Breaking Bad, and I was like, that one. That one sounds really good. And they're like, what do you like about it? And I was like, what's not to like? You have a chemistry teacher like cooking meth out of nowhere? Like, that sounds amazing. I would totally watch that. That one and Mad Men were the only two that ended up getting made into shows. And then like fast forward like a year and a half later, I was like sitting on the ground scraping out this like metal bowl to like smoke resin. Mostly metal shavings of this bowl that I'm just like cramming this knife into,
oh,
surely. And I finally got it. I had like a full bowl of resin, and I was like, all right, cool. And then I saw a commercial, like it just happened to be on AMC, and I was like, oh, that's that fucking show. It was like coming up next, and I was like, no way. So I got high and I watched the first episode of Breaking Bad, and I was blown away.
that is a memorable experience for sure.
Yeah, I was one of the only people who knew what I was about to get into seeing the commercial.
I I wasn't ready for it because like seeing him not be Hal from Malcolm in the Middle and like the whole
Yeah,
scene where he's running around in his tidy whities, he's giving off Hal vibes, and then it just completely shifts in no time to him being the character he was going to be, and it was like an amazing watch all the way through. Unlike Game of
I think him
Thrones,
being Hal makes it better. Like knowing what an insane range this guy has.
exactly, you wouldn't even think that he had such a range to be able to handle a character this complex.
Yeah,
And then like when you're
Uh,
watching the scene in Better Call Saul where him and Saul Goodman are like locked in that bunker and trying to get
oh
out,
yeah,
and like the way their personalities differ so greatly, like that lets you know how this character worked. There was like a method to the madness on all this.
yeah. You should have me on with one of the people that said this is a bad show sometime.
I think it was Tiberius and I think Rich, but I'm pretty sure it was Tiberius.
Tiberius has a ton of bad takes. That makes sense.
I just had him on last week. People don't like my takes on comic book movies, but I do not care. They're just bad. Kim Wexler was a great character.
Did you see the trailer for Thunderbolts?
I did.
I'm
I'm
intrigued.
I'm definitely not, and I hate the Sentry so much. I hate the Sentry with a passion. Like it's a character that should not exist, let alone being in Marvel movies.
Sentry? Who's
Yeah,
this? Oh, yeah, yeah. The like the conduit for the void.
yeah. Like that character, even the way they wrote him into the comics was insufferably unbearable.
I'm only excited because of the void. I want to see how OP it's gonna be.
I mean, it should be ridiculously OP. Both ends of him is bonkers when it comes down to it, but he's so messed up in the head that he's easily manipulated. And so, like in the comics, where we got to that point with the Void, well, with the Sentry in general, was when Norman Osborn, who's also crazy, was the head of the Thunderbolts. So him
Oh,
manipulating the Sentry was hilarious to watch. Yeah, the Void is,
that makes sense.
and
I didn't
like,
I didn't know you're a big comic book guy.
oh yeah, I'm pretty huge into a lot of different comic books, but Marvel was a thing for me for a long time. Then I just really got into DC. But that whole Civil War period of comics was, and to see what they did to it in the movies just hurt my soul.
Civil War was pretty tame in comparison to the comics. I know. So I haven't read a lot of comics, but I've done a ton of homework on a lot of different characters. So I have a lot of like deep lore. Have you ever talked to oh my god, I'm gonna drive me crazy. They host like that really like fucked panel show. I'm not sure if you've been on or not. I can't believe I'm drawing a blank here. I'll know in a second. Looking at my friends
It's like
list
there's
here.
so many fucked panels in this space. I don't know which one
Well,
it'll
like
be.
it was like that was like the theme of it is like that the panel show was fucked up. Uh,
Because you got Hippy Dippy, then you got whatever the political shit show was doing back in the day.
political shit show. Yeah. Oh, their name has changed. Yeah, the political shit show host. I can't remember her name
Was
because
Queen
now their name is
Alexa.
just Ghost.
Yeah.
Queen Alexa. There you go. Yeah. Queen Alexa is like a super buff about comic book stuff.
Oh, we've had moments of those conversations.
I was curious. Yeah. I had her on to talk about like who is the strongest in like comic books, and they landed on the Batman Who Laughs.
The Batman Who Laughs is pretty OP, but like for all the wrong reasons. Like the plot armor
Yeah.
that Joker gets in general is unfair. He's way more capable than he
Uh,
should ever have credit for.
yeah, it became like multiversal in power.
Exactly. And like the whole Dark Knight's metal thing was just bonkers to begin with, but then you're making it Bruce. And Bruce does some of the most ridiculous stuff for all the wrong reasons. To make him the Joker while you're at it makes it so much worse.
I kind of like that because I liked the what's it called? There's a it reminded me of the Arkham Knight games, and I really like that story. My favorite Batman story.
Real.
Did you play those games?
I only played a little bit. I never finished like the entirety of it, but I just kind of play them casually.
Yeah, I really like the idea that Batman sort of had the Joker living in his head and would sometimes just take over. I thought that was very unique.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of
Um,
that in the writing. I think some of my favorite stories that were done were the Injustice comics that they did.
oh, I loved the game, the storylines from the games. I didn't read the comics, but phenomenally done. And then I think I seen, didn't they make a movie?
I don't know if they made a movie. I mean, they should, but like Joker getting murdered immediately was ridiculous to me.
I'm pretty sure they made an animated film.
Cool, I'll have to
Uh,
watch it.
because it has like the Batman's dad becomes Batman, and
Oh, that was
he like
Flashpoint.
teams up with Harley.
Wasn't that
Is that
Flashpoint?
it? Was it
Yeah.
Flashpoint? Okay, I mixed the two in my head. My bad. Similar storylines, maybe. I like Flashpoint too. I like the Flash. Anyways, yeah, you invited me here to talk, and I only kind of got a taste of what you wanted to talk about, but I did do my homework for it.
So a lot of comedians, especially the ones that consider themselves edgier or more controversial, like to
Yeah,
say that they, are in fear of cancellation or they could get canceled for whatever. I'm of a mindset that canceling people doesn't really exist unless you do something illegal or whatever, like Bill Cosby. You literally can't be canceled. So like they said that about Dave Chappelle, like Dave Chappelle's going to be canceled for what he did. Dave Chappelle's going stronger than he probably ever has before, like next to Chappelle Show years. So it takes me like to when I actually think about what being a canceled comedian would be, it takes me to like what happened to Lenny Bruce.
oh, that's old school.
Yeah, like dude literally couldn't even get booked for a show without the cops pulling up and being like, "Nah, son, you ain't performing here. As a matter of fact, you're going to jail." That's what real cancel culture would be in my head. And it was literally the more conservative populace of America that forged that cancellation.
Yeah, because they're afraid of bad words.
Or concepts in general. Like it's kind of
Yeah,
ridiculous to me. So then you get people like Damon Wayans
I
and
minimized it a little.
absolutely, it's just it's so painful to see. Like the same people that would do it immediately are complaining that it's going to happen to them, or just all the way across the board. So then I'm hearing like Damon Wayans talking about, oh, I'm afraid of getting canceled. And I think it was the joke that he made before that he said he got canceled over was the Bill Cosby joke when he said that none of these women were um, were good looking enough to claim what happened to them happened.
That's pretty funny. Did he really though? Did he really get canceled?
And that's what I'm saying. I don't think any of them actually do. Like either you're funny or you're not funny.
Yeah, I have a particularly strong interest in like cancel culture because I think it's very fascinating. I think that when it happens, it's usually only effective when it's happening on the right. It seems like movements get started around the right. Well, far more often. I think Starbucks probably did take a bit of a hit. Or not Starbucks. Like I think that if you go against like the Christian thing, you'll actually take like a financial hit as a business.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Starbucks thing felt like there was something to that rather than it just being people sort of complaining. Like Christians are pretty good at mobilizing against who they see as the enemy. But are you familiar with Anthony Jeselnik?
Yes.
But
Dude
he's
is funny.
perhaps one of, if not the most offensive comedian still working today. A good deal of his jokes are the punchline is I personally am a pedophile. Like that's the punchline of a lot of his jokes.
What? I've only seen him on the
Have you seen?
roast.
Oh man, he had a joke in his last special, and he said I was at a bar the other day and I saw my favorite porn star, and I said to the bartender, I said, "Hey, you see that girl down there? She shouldn't be here. She's only 13."
What? Okay. Damn.
In- in- Incredible joke. I died. Um,
Oh, that is
but that's
brutal.
yeah. And then historically, he has just like a ton of them. He like do you know there's an app that lets you see how many pedophiles there are in your area? He goes, in 3 miles from my home, there are 15 active pedophiles. So how come every time there's a meeting, it's got to be at my house? Uh,
Oh, damn. Hey, at least he's ripping into himself, and that is hilarious.
yeah, and he gets very annoyed when comedians complain about cancel culture, and his mentality is that you can say and do whatever you want, but the art is getting away with it. Like if you're getting in trouble for what you said as a joke, then you didn't do the joke good. You didn't do it right.
Yeah, I assume no matter what the
Um,
case, if you're funny, it's still going to work out for you. So the only crime you committed was being unfunny.
Now, I think there's a difference between I think what a lot of people really mean when they talk about cancel culture is you look at Dave Chappelle and the last three specials he put out, he went hard as fuck on trans people. I wouldn't say, I don't think that anything he said crossed a line. If it was outside of, if he wasn't on stage and these things were said during an interview, that's fucked. If these things were just said, if like the punchlines were just said during an interview, that's an insane thing to do. Like you probably deserve the backlash you got coming to you. But he's a comedian, he's up on stage. There was a ton of backlash, but it didn't really hurt him. And I think that that's because fans of comedy are the ones that are really going to determine if you got canceled or not. Now, whether when it comes to a bunch of negative press and all that, you can cancel somebody who's surviving on sponsorships. You can cancel somebody who has to be on certain platforms that have really touchy sponsors. That's about it. People like Dave Chappelle, people like Louis, they've survived because they knew early on to create their own websites to give fans information about where to find them through email lists and things like that. Louis talks about it a lot. Um, Louis got canceled pretty hard. Basically, if it wasn't for his emailing list and his ability to let fans know directly where he was going, he would not have been able to have a comeback career at all.
I believe it.
Um, but that's in a similar vein as Cosby, although I wouldn't even say arguably nowhere near as bad.
No.
Um,
Like, I didn't,
it's
as a person, like, I just didn't vibe with him. So, like, whether he was able to work or not didn't really bug me. But at the end of the
Louis.
day, yeah, I just never really found him truly funny. But
Oh my god, I think he's one of the funniest people of all time.
I mean, a
To
lot
me,
of
he's
people
up there
like
with
him.
Carlin.
Ooh, I would never put him up there with Carlin. But I mean, we
Carlin
all have
is my
tastes.
favorite human being. One of the most influential people in my life. I've made my kid listen to George Carlin at the age of 8. Not like showed my kid like I was like, this is important. Pay attention to this. Like that degree of like, yeah, I think Louis up there. However, he made some poor choices.
For
And
sure.
I wouldn't say it's I'm wording it like that on purpose. I
I mean, no point in
I remember
relitigating
talking to
it right now.
somebody. Well, I told somebody I was on a first date with a chick and she said he's a monster and I was like a monster. Like we got to reserve our words a little bit. Like what do we call what do we call Bill Cosby's crimes if Louis C.K. is a monster? Like he's a he's got some kinks that he took too far, really. Um uh and like kind of got out of control, but he didn't put his hands on nobody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like yeah, that's when you start becoming a monster to me. But um I would say it takes something like that usually outside of the act in order to like truly take a hit. Which is why Dave Chappelle survives just fine. Um, Anthony Jeselnik, as far as I know, has never had any real controversy.
Not that I know of.
I think he had some issue with Comedy Central, and they wanted him to apologize for a joke that he made, and he wouldn't do it. And that might have been why his show got ended.
Which can happen. I mean, you're basically dealing with the repercussions of free speech, because freedom of speech is not freedom from repercussions, and that's who's paying your paycheck, and they don't like what you did. So that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that if you wanna tell jokes and you want real freedom, you got to build it from the ground up. You can't rely. That means you can't rely on anybody to help you out. You can't rely on a specific clubs, a specific scene to help get you there. It's got to be all you. Um, but if you can, then that's usually what makes you one of the greats. Because like nobody's taking Dave Chappelle down. It's just not going to happen.
Like even post cancellation, he's been on. Like he's actually done the opening monologue for SNL, like not that long ago. So
He's been forgiven. I think the only other way to get out of like actually being canceled is to take like the Drake Bell route and like let people know something worse than you did happened to you.
what?
Because he went from like absolutely hated to everybody adores him.
I had no idea. That is
And
a crazy
he's not a
formula.
comedian, but yeah, did you know what he got in trouble for?
It was something involving children, wasn't it?
Yeah, he got accused of grooming this girl and then sexual misconduct. We don't have anything definitive on what that was. When she was 15, and he pled guilty to it and got 2 years, went to rehab, and then he did the documentary. And like people fucking hated, they hated him. But after he did the documentary, like he's had like reunions with Drake Bell, and like he's doing like music shows again and shit. Like he's completely back in it.
Wow.
And now I'm not saying like I hate the guy or anything like that, but I think it's the first person we've ever seen get like actually canceled, where people are like, I'm out for this guy's blood. Like we're not just mad about like the thing, like we hate him as a person. You're a vile human being. Like I love you. That's a bigger flip than we've ever seen. I think have happened in the public's eye.
Was it that Nickelodeon thing that happened that exonerated him to a degree?
Yeah. He got like repeatedly forcefully sodomized, and he talked about it while he was doing Drake and Josh by a guy who like he basically lived at the guy's house. Now, and I'm not saying it's nothing.
Oh, damn
And I'm not
it.
saying it doesn't add a whole lot of context to like why he might have some like weird ideas about like what's appropriate and what's not. But I'm just saying like that it is the only time that it's ever happened where he went from like vile pervert to like America's sweetheart in a matter of like a year or so.
Yeah, I agree with Pero. I'd still consider him a predator, but there's some context there that kind of changes the circumstances.
Yeah, I watched he did a podcast with Josh Peck, and it was like a two-parter, and it just aired like 2 weeks ago, and I just saw it last night, and I was thinking a lot about how much do we give to people, like how big of a crime can they commit? Then when you find out like, oh, they were also abused as a child, this usually doesn't pan out. We usually just understand that like, okay, well then that just means that this other person created a monster. It's sad that this happened, but this person's still terrible, is what the usual narrative is. But for some reason, with Drake, like everybody, he totally got a pass afterwards.
Ooh, so somebody brought up
And I
the
think
thing that I actually kind of wanted to get to. Russell Brand.
nobody in comedy makes me sadder than Russell Brand. Oh my god, this one hurts. Yeah, let's talk about it. What about him?
So this dude went from being all over Hollywood, getting some of the most premier roles, pretty much accepted all the way around. He went on one interview on a news station, and all of a sudden it became the media's out to get me sort of situation. Cancel culture went full on right wing grift, just asking questions, damn near Tucker Carlson. And then now he's where he's at right now. So the cancellation that he was complaining about, or the sentiments from the left wing media, I believe were fabricated to a strong degree. I don't think anybody was really out to end his career. I think it was literally him sabotaging himself for being a hot mess.
Can you clarify? Do you think the allegations against him are true?
Probably.
Okay, yeah, it seems like he probably did it.
And more.
I don't
But
really. Yeah, there's probably when it's that aggressive, it does seem to lend itself to the idea that you've probably done other things that just you've either been forgiven by the person, or nobody wants to go through the media circuit to relive it. And it sucks because as a comedian, he's one that bums me out so much. And I tried watching his podcast because I loved him as a stand-up so much. I loved him and get him to the Greek so much. He was like he was one of those few like handful of like generational comedians, I thought, for a long time, that was just gonna continue to put out amazing stand-up material and great movies until he died. Um, but the podcast, so even before he had any allegations, I was like, this is fucking weird. How do you go from like the guy that was to this? This is like bizarre and very unnerving. It's like when you see it felt like seeing a family member get hooked on Fox News out of nowhere, you know? I hated it. And I don't like, cuz he went right wing before that, before the allegations.
yeah.
And do you know what caused that? I don't know what brought that on.
So I watched a clip where he was at a news station and he was like invited, and they like didn't remember his name. They kind of treated him cold, and he was kind of an asshole to them because of this. And he felt that he wasn't getting the respect he deserved from the mainstream media. And he kind of turned against what's considered the left, or against commercial media at that point. It seems like everything just started shifting further right from that moment.
I see. In from your perspective, because I didn't see that. I just saw the aftermath. Did it seem like they were fucking with him,
A little
like pretty
bit.
bad? Like, did it seem
It seemed like they
like
didn't take him
his
seriously.
initial?
Like he's just a goofy Hollywood guy that is probably an idiot, and we're just gonna kind of treat him that way. And I think he's a pretty intelligent dude, and I think he was pretty media
Yeah,
savvy at the time. So the way he handled it was kind of seen as a showcase of like how to use your charm in certain avenues to get better outcomes. So the way he handled it was interesting, but I think the way he internalized it fucked him up.
sure, he took it. You think he took it too personal?
I absolutely do.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you remember him like at his stand up and all that?
Yeah, he seemed pretty funny at the time. Like he wasn't, one of my favorites, but again, like I'm huge George Carlin fan, Bill Hicks, stuff like that tends to be my jam more so.
Do you think Bill Hicks is Alex Jones?
Absolutely not. If he is, that is gonna be the most Andy Kaufman level grift I've ever seen, or feat I've ever seen in my life.
I always thought it was like a funny thing because they'll I don't know if you know this, but their wives are friends.
Didn't know that.
So that's just true. Um, and I've seen things where like they line up the eyes and nose and stuff, and they do look pretty similar. They talk about pretty similar things. Um, but I never thought there was anything much to it until one day. and I've revisited since, but I was I was tripping on acid just listening to Bill Hicks, which is if you're gonna do acid, that's cool. It's a cool thing to do while you're on it. And he does this bit where he goes, "Suck Satan's cock," and I jolted around. I was like, "That's Alex Jones." Oh my god! I've listened to a lot of Alex Jones in my life. Um, Now he gets a lot of shit fucked up, but like Alex Jones isn't as wrong as much as people say he is. Dude knows a lot of shit. Like he is. I've seen a lot of things come out years after he said them and like just ended up being true. Now, I don't think that you should listen to Alex Jones and take any of his word as gospel, but like he got to where he was because he did a lot of good work for some time. Unfortunately, he also did a lot of crazy stuff as well. Um, and I'll die on that hill because I listened to him for a very very long time, and like I try pretty hard to be objective. I threw him out when he went on Piers Morgan, and just made a total ass of himself. And like anybody who supported him would just like look stupid for telling people to watch him. He like made fun of his accent and stuff. It was crazy. And I was like, all right, if he doesn't take this serious, then I'm not going to take anything he says serious anymore either. Um, but I know that voice, and Bill Hicks and Alex Jones have the same that deep growly thing that they both do. It's identical.
Yeah, I've seen people do like the face swaps and like try to
Yeah.
show like how they look similar. It's crazy. But that would be like champion tier performance. I don't
Yeah,
even know
Alex
how I'd
Jones picked up
react.
steam shortly after Bill Hicks died too. It was like within 2 years.
Because it makes me think of Tony Clifton. Like, there's no way. There's absolutely no way this is real.
I didn't mean to derail. So on the person who brought up Russell Brand, so what's did you have anything further on his thing? Because like I feel like he canceled himself from mainstream before that happened, before any of the allegations.
I mean, yeah,
He
he
made
was already
himself
doing,
unpalatable.
he was doing like full on alternative right, just asking questions kind of content that I feel like he was taking advantage of people with. And then he
Uh,
became Christian, got
yeah,
baptized by Bear Grylls or some shit. And
yeah, it was him being Christian. I thought was super bizarre.
isn't that the way it always
Uh,
goes when you do some really fucked up shit? You know, it's like right on your heels. You just conveniently find Jesus at that moment.
uh, well, also like Russell Brand has a pretty big ego too. I feel like if he ever found Jesus, I'd expect him to tell us all it was him. Uh yeah, he came off as super fake, which was weird because he had such an authentic and unique voice when he was doing stand up. That's what made him a star, I thought. Nobody was doing the things that he was doing.
I always thought of
Um
him as like a poor man's Tim Minchin.
I know that name. Who's Tim Minchin?
He was on Californication. He's a comedian that also does like music and he'll sing like funny songs.
Okay, I know who he is. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They have very similar vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's like if I was
I'll
gonna
give you
pick
that.
one of the two, I would probably pick Tim Minchin over Russell Brand at his best, but he became somebody I have disdain for over time. And I thought when he started doing his media thing, he was gonna like be more of like an unbiased source and like do something good. And it started off that way, and then it went directly into the toilet.
Uh yeah, he probably surprised me more than anybody else surprised me with like when they decided to go crazy. I was super unprepared for his transformation. Bad.
Yeah, I never would have guessed
Um
he would go in that direction.
it, I think the problem with it was antithetical for like what he seemed to stand for throughout the other parts of his career. Um yeah, he always seemed probably one of the most liberal comics in presentation, at least. I can't imagine anybody on the right supporting his early work.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Like he seemed like everything that was antithetical to the right, like drugs, free spirit,
Free love.
yeah, like all that. Like I definitely couldn't see the right using like wanting him in their sphere. And then he just went directly into it, but he did it in that different kind of way where he was more embracing the conspiracy end of it, so he was more on the Alex Jones level of it.
But yeah, he did, but he didn't have any of he would just say this shit. Like if you ever watched like old school InfoWars and stuff, they'd pull up like Drudge Report, like they'd give you sources, and Russell Brand would just kind of be like, "This is what I heard," which was really weird. Um, he turned into a poor man's Alex Jones.
Yeah, pretty much. And like it was mostly about the vaccine stuff. Like that was what really got him on his stride, was like vaccine disinformation, which I find very disgusting.
I do too. Vaccine misinformation really kills me, and I can't help but wonder if people that got caught up in that, um, I wonder how much of the vaccine stuff was caused by it was just too lucrative not to get into. I wonder how many people don't believe it at all. But like, there's money in denying vaccines, dude.
Yeah, there's a lot of money in confirmation bias. Like if you can confirm a bunch of people biases that have money, you're going to get money.
I watched there was an entire film about how COVID was caused by snake venom being put into the water supply. Um, and the cure for the real disease that was out there that we're calling COVID-19 was nicotine. And I had watched. I didn't have the money to do it. That was like right when I had like a bunch of like really bad financial things happen to me. But my plan was to uh, have my wife was suffering long COVID at the time. Well, my then
I'm
wife was
sorry.
suffering long COVID at the time. Thank you. She has like she was like 27 and had like high blood pressure of rates of like 180 over like 140, and like very in shape. So like there's no real explanation for it other than it was long COVID. And she had right after getting over COVID, like 3 weeks after, she would just like come down with fevers and stuff. So we knew she had it. We just didn't know it was manifesting in ways like that. But they said the cure for long COVID is nicotine. So if you did nicotine patches, that it would cure it. So I was gonna have her do it for 2 weeks and like monitor everything and then release it with my review of this dog shit movie. Um, if I had long COVID myself, I would have done it. But that just the kinds of things that I've seen people, the claims that I've seen people make, and then like the reviews from people that bought into it, or like I have a movie review up right now called "Died Suddenly." Not a single person in that movie is a doctor. They're all like morticians and shit. Oh, the other movie, the main guy is a chiropractor. Everybody who denies vaccines is like a disgraced doctor who lost their accreditation way before COVID happened. Like, it's funny that nobody who still has a job is like, no, this is important. There's no whistleblowers who still have a job in their field.
Notice how we're like on that same line of cancel culture being pretty BS, and then we got the vaccine grifters who would also claim that they're, not wanting their information to get out there because they're trying to hide the truth, and they're just trying to get them canceled. Like,
Yeah. It's a very similar thing, I think. What's his name? What do you think about Michael Richards?
Michael Richards, a guy from
Yeah,
Seinfeld.
yeah. The original cancel culture guy.
I
The guy who
mean,
let the world know that you can hurt somebody's career if you're mad enough.
to any black people that would have been down with his art after that whole tirade, I can say those people should have canceled the fuck out of him. But for everybody else, I don't think anyone gave a shit or should have.
I just sort of had a sense that it was like overblown because I had never seen it, and then I watched the video and I was like, "That's really
It
bad."
was really
I was
bad.
in, I was I was very impressed with just how over the top. Like I couldn't have imagined it would have been as bad as it was,
He went from zero to racist in like 20 seconds.
dude. I've never heard so many hard R's that didn't have a joke behind them in my entire life. It was crazy. In the animosity behind it too. It was he basically made it impossible to believe that this wasn't something that he would do just on the street to a random person too. It seems so well practiced.
It rolled off the tongue way too naturally.
Dude, it was really bad. Um So he's probably an example of somebody who was legitimately canceled, um, and they didn't really break the law.
Well, see, in my
But
head, I don't
also,
consider that canceled. That's like literally people just no longer find you funny, which is why I preface the whole thing with Lenny Bruce. Like that is true cancellation right there. What happened to Michael Richards was like literally the marketplace of ideas said you're bankrupt.
what do you think with Michael Richards? That there was still venues willing to host him,
I think so.
and he just couldn't sell tickets. Do you think it was just like he was like not able to sell tickets? 'Cause he did like the first like apology tour too for a comedian.
I mean, with good reason, but I'm pretty sure there are some
I
places that were perfectly fine with that word being said that would have been welcoming him with open arms. I just don't think anybody would want him under the banner of their brand at all because, like, you
it,
just distance black people in general from your brand.
and that's what I mean. And I would say that this is probably the use of cancel culture that I would find most supportive. I don't see this as something different, other than when I look at it, it feels justified. Whereas you take things like what happened with Tony Hinchcliffe, and people were super mad, even though, ironically enough, they just didn't understand the joke.
Yeah, I had you on a
Um,
panel over that one.
yeah, so like that there's a difference there where on the surface it looked like he hardcore separated out of this very specific group, um, albeit not nearly as vitriolically. Um, but sort of a similar thing had happened there, and people were mad. Also, uh, uh, I talked to a buddy of mine who's Puerto Rican, and he was super mad, and then he didn't want to hear any of the explanation about it either. So I think he might have lost some fans over that.
Yeah,
But you kind of don't have the ability to cancel somebody like Tony Hinchcliffe because he's on YouTube. It's
sure.
not and now I think that these things hold a lot more weight once we see somebody lose something from it. Um, I don't I don't think there's anything Kramer could have done to save himself. Uh, he was too famous too when he did it, which is so crazy. He even had Jerry Seinfeld like still support him too.
That's surprising because, like, in a room full of people talking about saying the N word, the one person that was just not on board, like, I can't find the funny in this, was Seinfeld, where Chris Rock's just sitting there, like, by the way, fuck Chris Rock.
You don't like Chris Rock?
I mean, I'm not mad that Will Smith slapped the shit out of him, and I don't like Will Smith either.
That's pretty funny. Um, I'm more on board. I'm more on board with the slap after I heard Marlon Wayne's stories about Chris Rock. Dude made a whole special centered around that slap, and it was very good. And if anybody listening hasn't seen it, it's called Good Grief, and that is probably top 10 in the last 10 years stand up specials. I literally laughed and cried during it. Phenomenal work. It was art. Did you see Good Grief?
I did not.
Oh my god! So it's about the slap, and it's about I hope I'm not mixing up the two. It's about his mom dying and the slap. I think if I'm not mixing up two specials. Good Grief for sure is about his mom passing. And if not, he has another one that's about the slap, and they're both great.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Huh. So as we're getting closer to the end of this, and I would open up the panel, before I open it up, I want to say, is some of this because the sensibilities that a lot of people have for comedy has changed over time, and there are certain groups that you just can't make fun of in the same way you did before? Like, you would have people like Andrew Dice Clay with pretty raunchy humor, or like Rodney Dangerfield saying how much he hates his wife, all the way down to like things like the Man Show that really wouldn't fly now and is pretty disrespectful to women. So, like, would you say that there's like an Overton window for comedy that we've moved toward, like, this isn't acceptable anymore?
I would say yeah, but it's not just for comedy either. Like I just watched do you know who No Life Shack is?
No, I don't.
He reacts to hip hop video songs. And he did Eminem's Kill You. And just seeing him, it's a 6-year-old video, and seeing his reaction to it, like, there's no way Eminem could have released Kill You today and not gotten in, like, he the news cycle would be going for weeks on it. It would be unreal talking about sexually assaulting his own mom and stuff. There's no way. So yeah, I just think that we're a lot more careful about what we're allowed to. I don't know if it's because people don't. I think I think that the meta irony that sort of like was predominant on the internet like 5-6 years ago has sort of taken away the ability to say like it's a joke. Nobody has any confidence in knowing who's joking about what anymore.
Hmm.
And I think that's a big part of the problem because really if somebody's on stage with a microphone, we should be able to know that they're just joking, that they don't mean it. Um,
I mean,
but
like,
people seem to have a sense that like they do mean that though.
I think we understood that Rodney Dangerfield like didn't actually mean take my wife, and these were the jokes, and this was the bit, and this was always the bit. But eventually, like,
That's then.
it's just not going to work anymore.
Right, because anymore, I think that now people would just say, like, he's a misogynist. They would think that he actually doesn't like women. I had people tell me, a good friend of mine, say that they thought Tony Hinchcliffe was a misogynist during the whole Puerto Rico thing. And I was like, that's an insane thing to say. When he started off his show, he only had women regulars.
Hmm.
He's always supported female comics. If he goes through a show and he doesn't pull a woman's name out of the bucket, he pulls until he does. Um, he's actually a remarkably inclusive guy who just likes racist and edgy humor.
I mean, fair enough.
Which I mean, I'm a pretty nice guy, and I like racist and edgy humor. But I'll also be the first one to call somebody out for being shitty to people. You don't have to be even like as far as bigotry. Like, don't be shitty to people around me. Fuck that. Yeah, people just can't tell when somebody's joking. That's the Overton window shift, is that the ability to say I'm just kidding has been taken away because people, best example, Nick Fuentes. How long did Nick Fuentes do like straight up Nazi shit and say he was just joking?
Oh, that lasted for a minute.
Right. And I think that because of that kind of thing that did happen, it took our ability away, it took society's ability to confidently say, oh, these are just jokes.
So there was a bit that Jimmy Kimmel used to do back when they were doing the Man Show, and it was like a man on the street asking questions thing. And I think the one that like people thought was funny at the time that I guess didn't age well was when he was walking around with a petition to end women's suffrage, to show that women didn't even know what the term women's suffrage meant. And so, like, at the time, people thought it was funny, and then now people are like, he's fucking cruel.
No, I think things like that. I think that could still fly today because I think that the joke then was a little bit different than what the joke of it now would be. The joke of it now would be that Americans are wholly uninformed about some issues that matter to them, which usually plays pretty well on either side.
Hmm. It's interesting
Like
like that.
if somebody went up to Trump supporters and said, "Was this Trump?" So I'm going to read you a quote, and you tell me if this is Trump or Hitler. That's always going to play, right?
Yes.
It's same thing. Like imagine like 8 years ago, if somebody's like, "All right, I'm going to read you a quote, and you tell me if this was Hillary Clinton or Hitler." That's still going to play. So I think that as long as the angle is right on that kind of joke, it's okay.
Hmm.
Because Americans are stupid seems to be it's very in meta right now. Even if the underlying thing is misogynistic, I think that if the angle is Americans are stupid, it plays.
I mean,
Which
that
just goes
was
to
my
show
vibe.
people pick and choose what they want to be offended over when it comes to media.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and open up the panel. So if anybody wants to hop in, has any questions or opinions on what we're talking about, by all means, hop into a room and I will drag you in. Otherwise, we will continue talking. And I'm going to switch up the order here to let people know it's open. So blue it's open. That's
Uh,
really interesting.
who is what's this guy's name? There's a guy who's doing really good misogynist jokes lately, and he's been killing it. Can't think of his name. I think it might have long in it.
Can't think of the name.
I'll find him.
Comedian?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't ring a bell. I mean, I've heard a lot of edgy humor in my time frame. Like Richard Pryor was considered freaking ridiculous at the time.
Well, this is modern. Uh, Man, he's in my reels constantly. I just watched a couple of his full specials, and I think he's killing it. I recently saw to me, I always roll my eyes when I see a thing on X and somebody's like, "Is that like they call this comedy?" I'm like, "I bet it's fine." And I clicked it, and it was this guy. He was making Palestinian jokes, and they were all bad. Like there
Oof.
was like no good. Like when I say like objectively bad, like there wasn't a joke structure here. He's like they're only good for one thing, and it's faking dead babies. And then he said faking something else, and he like laid on the ground and like pretended to seize, and I was like, how do you have the confidence to do this? Like there's no, like the jokes are so like it's even if like you'd have to be like anti-Palestinian to think these are funny, and it's so niche. Like to like if you are, and then we'll also laugh at dead baby. Like I almost laughed at the balls to try it, but it was just bad. It wasn't funny. It was bad.
That's rough. Matter of fact, out of the edgier
Uh,
comedians right now, I think Bobby Lee is still pretty fucking hilarious.
you think he's that edgy?
He's pretty edgy in my opinion, but I mean, I'm sure there's worse.
Theo Vaughn. I watched one of his old specials not that long ago. Oh my god. Uh, the R word, the F slur, just he was going off, and I watched. It was probably like a 10-year-old special of his, and I was like, this would be uh this would make the news today easy. And he seems to have walked away from that just fine.
I mean, fair enough. Theo Vaughn's pretty funny. I think it still comes down to
Uh,
charisma.
yeah, I didn't think that special was that good because back then the bar was lower. Like those words would just get the laugh. But I've watched some of his more recent stuff to see, and he's shaped up to be a much better comedian in the last 10 years. I'd say he's pretty good on his podcast too. But his stand up is his stand up sounds a lot more like him on his pod now. But if you ever go jump in a time machine and check out his old stuff, I think you'll be surprised.
Okay, I might have to check out some of his old stuff and see how well he evolved and what he was doing.
Significantly, I'd say. There's the opposite case too. He was good friends with Bert Kreischer when they were both on the Real World.
Is that dude actually
And
funny?
sometimes he. Let me put it this way: he's not as funny as he thinks he is, but he's nowhere near as bad as his haters make him out to be. He
What's
gets
that?
more hate more than any other comedian. Back in the day when they kicked him off of the Real World or Road Rules, it was Road Rules. He thought it would be funny, which it is really funny, just not then. He got totally naked in front of the producer who was kicking him off the show and laid down on the table and like asked him not to kick him off and blew him a kiss, and they were like, "Get the fuck out of here," which I think is hilarious.
The only time I thought Bert Kreischer was hilarious was the machine joke, and when Jimmy Carr is letting him know he's an idiot without him figuring out that he's an idiot.
I think he plays really well with other people. I think that's his strength, so he's been able to survive pretty well. I watched his new special; it wasn't that strong, but the end was really funny, and it made me laugh and cry. He's talking about putting his dog down, which is like my biggest weak spot, and he had some pretty solid jokes for that. But dude has, I would say, per special, a pretty low laugh per minute rate compared to other comedians, especially for his caliber, like how successful he's become. It's crazy. I won't watch his movie, The Machine. I feel like that's an absolute cringe
I
fest.
think I watched it and it was terrible, but it was watchable.
It was watchable.
It was
You didn't
watchable. It
cringe
was
the whole
just,
time.
I mean, I thought that was the point, was to cringe. So
I think he could do really well if he started Adam Westing.
in what way?
Well, if he just really leaned into the fact that, like, if he leaned into the fact that he's not funny, because he takes himself so seriously. He's like so super he thinks he's very like introspective and like tries to like promote himself as such, and like everything that he does shows that he's taking himself super super serious. I think that if he stopped doing that and just sort of leaned into the fact that he's just like a fat mediocre comic, I think that he could pull a lot out of that. He needs to have more self-deprecating material, I think.
Oh, yeah, I can agree with that, because he definitely shouldn't be taking himself all that serious. Is what his material does is just, damn it, the machine joke is like his claim to fame. There's no way around it.
Yeah,
To the point that it became the movie.
People don't even know his real name. Some people just know him as the Machine. I've seen that like in real life when like people like refer to him, they'll just call him the Machine, which really says a lot. Yeah, he's like the comic equivalent of a one-hit wonder who's been coasting along pretty well. That's probably part of the reason why he's not as good as people that have been doing it so long.
Yeah, I watched that stand up and I thought he was good, and then I watched other things from him and I just was not impressed. I'm like, yeah, now just tell the machine. OJ's real name wasn't OJ. Yes, it was. I actually had a conversation about OJ today and it was painful.
OJ Simpson?
Yeah.
Yeah. What you talk about, OJ? I'm gonna listen. I'm just letting my dog in. She's right.
It was about basically like what standard of evidence people want to believe something happened or didn't happen. And it was about an incident that happened like around 9/11, and what would it take to get me to believe this incident that happened in 9/11, which had terrible evidence behind it, versus, do you believe OJ did it? I'm like, yeah, I believe OJ did it. There was plenty of evidence. Had the police not been tampering with the evidence, I think he would have been convicted. It's just we didn't get there. Yeah, there should be some standard of evidence. Like, just saying something seems fishy should not be a reasonable standard of evidence. And it seems like really shitty epistemology, in my opinion. And the thing that was being talked about was like the dancing Israelis. around 9/11, and I'm like, yeah, nah, this doesn't pass the sniff test.
Um, I think like the main claim that I'm willing to make about 9/11 is that I don't. I think that there's a lot more going on. That people had more information than they had. But you can't. People. I think it's really easy to dismiss certain things about 9/11 in the official report, but it's a lot harder to make strong claims about what did happen.
Oh yeah, I can agree with that. I believe there was a reasonable amount of information out there. It's just like thinking a bunch of people like actually knew what was going on and had more information than, so like the point of saying it was a setup and the whole deal is that's a bar you have to pass with a decent amount of evidence for me to
Ooh.
buy that.
We should talk about 9/11 sometime. I'm sort of a buff on it. It's like the last mainstream conspiracy that I'm like that I'm kind of on board with. After that, I think QAnon ruined our ability to have any intellectual conversation about anything that would be considered a conspiracy.
I mean, yeah, pretty much we have a conspiracy nut running the health services for America. Like RFK is fucking ridiculous.
I was a very early supporter of the idea that he's going to kill a lot of people. And this happened because a friend of mine really liked RFK for president. And they were like, just watch his interview on Joe Rogan. That's what he said. I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll watch his Joe Rogan interview and then I'll let you know what I think. And I was like, I think he's dumb. I think he's bad news. I think that he manipulates the stories that he's telling in a way to make it sound like he knows what he's talking about. But if you look into any of these things, it's just not true. And he's also changed his stories too, which is crazy. Like when he talks about things that he said in the past about vaccines, he'll straight up lie about it. And just like where he gets
Keep
his
talking,
like
I gotta grab my
authority
energy
for
drink
this.
out of the fridge.
No problem. Where he claims to have his authority on it, it's all based on like hearsay and talking to like individuals and their own personal feelings about things. There's nothing about what RFK claims when it comes to vaccines that's backed up at anything scientific whatsoever, and it kills me. And if there was somebody, pardon me, who was who's saying like people at the top are lying to you and I'm the guy, like if any of that shit panned out, I'd probably be one to support them. I'm a pre-Trump conspiracy guy. But nothing pans out. Like before Donald Trump, conspiracy shit would happen, and like there would like the people that would like talk about conspiracy shit, like we'd be able to point you to the shit. We'd be able to like, here's why I think this. Nobody's saying do your own research back then.
That's exactly where I'm at with it. It's that
we pull out the fucking bulletin boards.
Like this, it's the whole idea that because we have the opinion that the government lies to us, which of course the government lies to us, that anything that's said about the government has some air of truth about it, and you don't need any standard of evidence at that point is fucking ridiculous to me. So they can literally say whatever they want because you don't trust the government. It must be true.
Yeah, pre-Trump, I would say conspiracy theorists demanded a pretty high degree of evidence to have like a conversation about something being conspiratorial. Like you look, if you ask somebody who doesn't think that just Oswald acted along with JFK, they'll talk to you for 3 hours as to why. They will be happy to give you that information. They've done their homework. They've done their own research and they're happy to bring it to you. Anybody today with any conspiracy, well, I think you need to do your own research. Like, bro, I promise if you did your own research, you'd be thrilled to share it.
And you wouldn't be here with it.
Yes.
So what do you think about the release of the JFK documents?
They're pulling like old school lawyer tactics on us. They're like just dumping everything that has the letters JF and K on it. on people all at once, and there's just like an insurmountable amount of data to go through. Once we have somebody needs to put AI to good use and give us a summary of what actually matters in that, and then I can take a look at it. But I'm not reading 70,000 pages of shit. And then they were going to release, 50,000 more pages or some shit? That's fucking crazy. It makes it look a lot more suspicious when they're just dumping all this shit on you all at once. But I have no opinion because nobody's read all that shit yet.
I mean,
And
what
then we're
would you
also at the mercy of
find?
whoever does.
Like, what would you find in there that would be of interest that, like, you could instantly go straight to, was there another shooter, or like, was it an inside job sort of thing? Like, any of these things should be pretty easy to find, unless
In
I actually
70,000
find,
pages?
like, I literally have to find a actual magic bullet. Like, they summoned with a grimoire a magic bullet, and this was what was used. That would have to be in those documents for me to even give a semblance of a fuck.
Well, so what could be in there and what should be in that information is there's no way if they have the gun that Oswald supposedly used and they have the bullet, there's no way they don't have the bullet. Match it up. Ballistics test. It had to happen at some point. That's all we need to know. That's all you need to know right there.
Because, like, I felt the same way with
And
the Martin Luther King documents. Like, I do not care unless you can show me that Jesse Jackson was in there talking to the FBI and getting Martin Luther King. I do not give a fuck.
well, I mean, we know that the government killed MLK.
Was that
I mean
ever in
that
question?
I mean, a lot of people don't know that his family won in civil court against the federal government.
Oh, okay. Well, then these people just weren't paying attention. I didn't need documents for that. Like, COINTELPRO is like common knowledge at this point. Like, come on.
Well, I think that lends a lot more credibility to the JFK truthers too. Like if we know that MLK was killed by the government, like what's to say that somebody else who's preaching positive messaging didn't get killed by the government?
I,
It's
I,
gonna make people who are suspicious a lot more suspicious. Well, you're starting to establish if they already thought JFK might have been killed by the government, and then we can start to put together a pattern. It becomes a lot more convincing.
Rabbit, don't do this. Please don't do this, Rabbit. No more OJ, please. So,
I
like,
think it's crazy to think OJ didn't do it.
I mean, I'm at that point too. I thought that for a very long time and I never really looked into it. But as soon as I actually took the time to do my own research and look into it, all it took was hearing Kato Kalin explain the situation in the timeline. I'm like, oh, this motherfucker did it. This motherfucker definitely did. He was at least there in the room when it happened, because he had a bag that when they were putting his stuff into the back of the car for him to go, there was one bag he would not allow anyone to go anywhere near, and that bag magically disappeared. No, fuck all that. He did it.
He wrote a book called "If I Did It."
It's in the
Like
fiction section though.
he's Adam Westing.
It's ridiculous. But yeah,
Yeah.
so like I have family members that are literally sending me videos saying that it was a Secret Service service agent in the car that shot JFK.
Uh, Look, I think I'm willing to entertain anybody's JFK theories. But uh, well, hypotheses really. But like it's been so long. Y- we need ballistics, or we need something more than just like something that fits, because there's a lot of ideas that fit what actually went down, what was observed, and unless there's something that's good enough to sue the federal government over, really nothing's changing, right?
And what would change? Like literally what would change?
I think, well, what would change is there would be I think that there would be a large, I would bring over people that didn't have this kind of distrust of the government into not trusting the government anymore. So like if you're a real conspiracy libertarian kind of person, that's the kind of thing that you'd be hunting down because you'd want to get more people over to your side. And I was also for years I was a huge libertarian, but those motherfuckers can't have a conversation about anything. They can't. I've said it before. I'd be like, well, since they're like, as a libertarian, I'd be like, so, but since they're gonna take our taxes anyways, shouldn't it go back to things that benefit us? Since they're gonna steal it, let's steal. Oh, let's get that money going to. And they're like, no, like you can't have a conversation about taxes because they shouldn't be taken anyways. Like, all right, but since they're going to, no, like, all right, you're just stupid then.
I mean, a lot of libertarians.
They can only operate within their fantasy structure.
When I hear libertarian talking points, it kind of like takes me over to sovereign citizens, and it all just seems really goofy.
So, like the non crazy idea here is that the government shouldn't be taxing people the way that they are, and that you should, for the most part, unless you're infringing on other people's rights, you should be free to do whatever you want. This seems morally correct to me. However, it is impossible to have that inside the system as it exists today, and they can't have a conversation about how to make it more like what they want. It's like it's a similar problem, but it's like the problem on the left to the extreme, where some lefties they want it's like all or nothing. Like if I can't get everything that I want, then I'm going to vote for Trump. Like you're insane. You're actually just a crazy person. You can't take any steps to get to where you want to go, and if you don't get it, you're gonna nuke the whole system. You're insane. Libertarians are like that, but even crazier.
Oh no!
Because they're just incapable of engaging with what is. It's only what ought to be. So they're useless. They are politically maximally ineffective.
Like the idea that people don't understand that. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff your tax dollars are going to go to that you don't agree with, like Department of Defense, things like that. But you also have to understand, like, hey, we need roads. We all use the roads. If nobody's taking your taxes and you can't go to work, do basic things, lights aren't on, like, what are you expecting? You want to live in a society that functions.
They'll say one of two things. They'll say one of two things. You never heard of a charity, or they'll say, well, if companies want people to be able to work in their factories, then they're going to build the roads to those factories. All right, well, what about the roads everywhere else?
Yeah.
Well, that's what charities are for. There were roads before there was a federal income tax.
Yeah, not like this.
Yeah, when there were villages and shit.
It's freaking ridiculous.
Yeah, they just can't engage with the reality of the way things are. Like libertarian ideal societies you couldn't have as the world exists today. You'd have to everything would have to completely fail and you'd have to start fresh. And they can't talk about how to get from here to there. It's just like, yeah, well, let's just wave a magic wand and change everything all at once. Like, okay, you're crazy.
That's the fun thing about the tariff talk that we're having right now, and that it's going to bring factories and all this other stuff back to America. Is like, well, why don't you set initiatives to build the factories before we go blowing up the entire fucking system as we know it?
This is a really, really crazy thing because I've talked about policy that makes, if you want to make things better in America, you can do it by tax cuts. Tax cuts on companies, like big companies. It's like you want healthcare? Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to increase taxes across the board on every major company. Like any company that's pulling in over $200,000 a year, we're going to increase your taxes. However, we'll give you tax breaks if you provide these things. That's how you do it, and then you can make it to where they'll end up with a tax cut instead of an increase. So make doing the right thing cost them less money. And that's how you can get major policy initiated without having to pass policy. You could just pass tax legislation to make real change happen in America. It's not that fucking hard to do. If the people with all the money don't want to do what you want them to do, give them a little bit more money to do it. if they're saving 2% over the course of each year by doing the right thing, they'll do the right thing. It's not hard, pretty fucking easy. But I don't want to do that, and it works across the board. Republicans will like it because it's tax cuts for the rich. For some reason, they fucking love that shit. And Democrats will like it because they're getting all the shit they want. Everybody wins. It's a compromise.
An actual compromise?
Yeah,
How dare you?
but instead, let's nuke the world economy. And not only that, too, people that support it, well, when it comes down to it, they'll say that it's a gamble too. They're like, well, yeah, but if this works, yeah, but you're playing roulette here. This isn't blackjack here. We don't have like 50-50 odds. We're playing roulette. It's chaos. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Like, it's not better than trying nothing. It's worse. Like, the bad that can happen is so much worse. It's like doesn't line up with like the good that might happen at all. Like, I don't understand. Like, none of these people should ever step foot in a casino. They don't understand odds and payoffs at all. It is bonkers.
Yeah, we're living in bonkers times right now, and we're just being told trust the plan. Yet there's no real plan in front of us.
Trust the plan that's being carried out by an administration that can't keep war plans secret.
Ooh, that's
And the people that you're asking us to trust have been shown to be so grossly uninformed and so grossly ineffective that it's crazy that you're willing to put faith in a plan that doesn't seem to pan out. When you look at it on paper, it seems like this is a bad idea. So you need really trustworthy, well-informed people to be back in this for me to go, all right, maybe. But that's not the case. There's no maybe here. I'm just scared. I'm only scared.
Yeah, I don't see good things coming from this, and at best, as little damage as possible comes from it. At worst, I don't even want to think about what the worst could be, because every time I think about what the worst could be, it's actually worse than what it ends up being.
Yeah, right now we're at like the cusp of like the shape of the world economy changing because of AI anyways. AI and robotics are about to have the biggest impact on industry that we've ever seen. Like any like major industrial shift. That's going to happen in like the next 2 years. And we're fucking ourselves super bad. We need to be way more participatory in the world economy, and instead we're creating the most isolationist economic plan in the history of the world.
Yeah, and at a breakneck speed. It's all happening at once. Yeah, we got into it
And
over.
meanwhile,
Oh, God.
China's killing it in AI and robotics right now too. Like, we need, if there's ever a time to strengthen our position in the world economy, it's right now. We just need to make sure that we're a solid player, and like, we're shooting ourselves in the head. It's crazy.
That's why I was like really appreciating the CHIPS Act that Biden was working toward, and seeing that we were going to get more chips, semiconductors, and other things built. There were already factories. There was money promised. Things were moving in the right direction, because we do have a severe reliance on like Taiwan and Israel for things like this. And China's been killing it forever. And then
Yeah.
it's getting nuked now.
Yeah, the dependence on Taiwanese chips, like push comes to shove, if there's any major breakthrough in AI, basically China has to take Taiwan. If that breakthrough doesn't happen in China, they have to take Taiwan in order to compete. And they know that if they don't compete, they are totally fucked. And so yeah, we need all the allies we can get right now. And it's Trump doesn't understand anything. Like, literally anything. I just heard some video, it was like a short or something. I heard Destiny say, name one time Trump has ever said anything intelligent about any policy ever. Where you hear him talking, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. He doesn't understand anything. It's true. There's nothing.
I mean, he understands how to put the fries in the bag.
Right. Like we've entered the territory where it's the first time uh where Trump has really put out a real policy where things really matter on the policy. He's not fighting culture war. He's actually doing policy stuff, but he doesn't understand it at all, which is totally crazy. And then everybody on the right is failing in mainstream media, at least, on calling him out on it. They're like backing him up and supporting it. Luckily, there's some people online who are like Ben Shapiro, Joe Rogan. They're calling out the administration, at least now, on some of the stuff, but it needs to be a lot stronger and it needs to be a lot more unified.
Ben is pissing me off.
Ben Shapiro?
Yeah, that dude was like, yeah, of course I agree Trump on a curve, and you know, I can see like the big brain thing that he's doing and all this, and it could do this and it could do that, and he's being told like, hey, this is what's going to happen, and he's like, no, I don't. How do you know this is going to be what's going to happen? And then it happens, and he's like, why is he doing this? None of this makes sense. It's like we were already here before you got here. What took you so long?
Yeah, I think he's still trying to keep the bag, but he's also actually pissed off because he has a brain. But he also has a brain, so he's not trying to nuke his own pocket. Uh, there's no major AI breakthrough on the horizon unless you count hyper bubble bursting. You don't know that. It has been every step along the way. It has gone faster and had more and more progress than anybody's expected, and it's never slowed down. It's crazy to think that there's nothing crazy coming around the corner. If you try to keep up with it, there's like major stuff happening like every single week. It's nuts. It's crazy to think that there's not something that there's no major breakthroughs on the horizon. There's major breakthroughs constantly.
Yeah,
If
it's
if,
way
if
too
you're not
much
worried about
change.
AI, spend one day looking up robotics. Because some people might still have that Boston Dynamics dog in their head, but AI robots currently, you can tell them what to do, and they don't have to practice the task. They can just run simulations of the task without having to do it and then perform it correct the first time. It's crazy. Like that's where we're already at. They just haven't put them out there yet for people to buy and rent.
No, it's going to be a huge change, and a lot of industries are going to be moving over to this in the workforce that we had before. There's no going back. Like that's something that a lot of people don't seem to understand is there's no going back to what we did before back in the 30s and 40s. There's no going back to what we did in the 50s to the 70s. So to act like this is going to be a return to what America was is pure insanity in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I had somebody argue with me like a year ago, and I was talking about robotics and how much it's going to change things. And they're already saying we're more than 10 years away from uh, where we're at today. And then also the jobs that get created. I'm like, well, every other time before when the industry changed, jobs did get created, but the things that are being created that's going to change the things and take away jobs are the things that can do those jobs too. That's never happened before. That's the problem.
And if we fail to keep up with that, it's going to be our people that suffer. If we're not equipped to handle industry in that way, we're going to suffer for generations.
I don't think that you can possibly be prepared. I think that it's just going to depend on our response. It's just going to be how good can we measure our responses. But like at the political level, uh, it's not even being talked about. So I think that we're just fucked. I'm pretty black pilled about like the future of our labor.
I mean, with good reason.
Yeah.
I think one of the
Um.
bigger things that people were complaining about was the whole $20 minimum wage thing for fast food workers in California, as all of these businesses were already getting ready to automate out, have AI taking your order. Like it's going to be down to like one or two people in the kitchen anyway. So paying them more like ultimately was going to happen in the first place, but the amount of jobs that are going to be lost in the long run for so many different industries. Like you go to a supermarket, how many registers are there compared to the self checkout? Like these
Yeah.
things are gonna be the way it works. You don't have the same jobs you used to have. And then they're like, oh well, these kids are lazy. It's like, no, their jobs no longer exist because a computer can do it. And these corporations are more than happy to just pay a couple people to maintain these things.
The laziness argument has been used for hundreds of years. And whenever we look back, we never look at it through the lens of history as like, oh, well, there was just too many lazy people. That's never been the case. You know what makes people not lazy? Starving. All right.
True.
When you got no money, you stop being lazy pretty quick.
I mean, you're gonna hustle one way or another. That's what's gonna happen. Necessity is the mother of invention.
100%. I've in the last 6 months, I've been pretty fucking broken. I had to come up with some creative ways to make money myself. I know. It's not the laziness argument just means I don't know what to say, but I'm not going to cede any ground.
That makes sense.
And it's an easy one too because you can't. It's like a it's a non-falsifiable claim to just throw out there to like catch all the problems in your arguments. And I know you're familiar enough with that. You've done enough panels to hear this shit.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's so many different minds on what's going on right now, but for people to act like things are going to work as they expect is it's going to be an interesting wake up call once everything goes the way of the corporations and what they want. Because I think even at
Uh
the ports they're like getting self-driving trucks and other things that are going to be replacing people while they're at it.
oh yeah. Somebody just said if even if there was real humanoid robots today, there aren't how cheap they would need to be cost effective. Robots are expensive. Waymo hasn't put Uber out of business. So a lot of these companies that are releasing this year or next year, their humanoid robots, they plan on leasing them out to make them affordable. People don't have to have all the money up front. Lease a robot like a car, and now it's affordable. And besides, what's in the companies that do have the money for it? What's more? It's always robots are always going to be cheaper than people and more productive.
Definitely more productive. Yeah, people thought that about a lot of things when they first showed up, and they see that eventually over time, these things get paid off and it becomes common. Like there's going to be computers everywhere, then there's going to be automation everywhere. Now it's going to be just straight up robots and AI handling things. And you'll see people getting phased out of more and more things. Eventually, you won't even have bank tellers anymore.
Oh yeah, that's bank tellers is a crazy job that still exists. The last job that I did, I was master control operator for a television station. So it's like the Fox, CBS, NBC, ABC, all that. They would they all have their local stations, and we would do the local stations, inserting like the ads and making sure everything's running on time. I was like, this is crazy that people still do this. It's crazy that this isn't fully automated. Um, there's a lot of jobs that just like right now, AI could absolutely do. Um, and we just haven't seen that big push yet in a lot of sectors, but a lot of people, a lot of companies and stuff are usually behind on technology. Like there's a lot of companies that still run like really old versions of like even like operating system and all that. But I think once once there's a substantial amount of people saving money on it, it's just gonna be a big wave. People with a lot of money need to see other people with a lot of money saving a lot of money, and that's all it's gonna take.
So, did you see this story where a Waymo got stuck in a Chick-fil-A drive-through?
No, that's funny.
Yeah, the car literally had no idea how to get through the drive-through and just got stuck. And I don't see how it unfucks itself at that point.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, these things are just going to get more and more sophisticated over time now. This is just for now.
It's like I follow like AI stuff on a regular basis. I think people see stuff like this and they just don't understand how quickly like the industry is moving, how quickly improvements are getting made. And like I have a chatter who's like seems super doubtful, but like look at Chat GPT 2.5 and how long ago that was and like what we have now. It's not I don't think I don't think it's anything to dismiss. I think it's crazy.
I'm more irritated that a lot of our conversations end up going to Chat GPT and Grok. Like you'll be having a conversation with someone, like even in these Discord spaces, and all of a sudden they're just cutting and pasting whatever the AI told them about whatever it is you're talking about. Like we're not even having the same kind of conversations anymore. So it's already changed the way we interact with each other.
That's true. I just had a talk with Mr. Grill about black holes, and he gets a lot of information by talking to Chat GPT. And I tried to get him to understand that, like, well, I just curious if I could ask it similar questions, and it could be wrong, but I could understand like the logical path that it's following to get to this wrong conclusion. And he's like, nope. Like we have a lot of like where we're at right now. They're so impressive that it's hard to think that they could be wrong. You just kind of have to look at like I think what you won't find is that the AI models aren't going to follow in a logical path to get to a conclusion, but you can follow a logical path to get to an incorrect solution or conclusion. And we're not really looking at that when we're using these commercial like chatbots. I think that it's pretty annoying too. But I also think that it's really annoying that like Grok and ChatGPT are sort of our metric of where we think AI is at. When there's a lot more industry outside of chatbot technology that this stuff's getting put into. Um, have you run into AI at a drive-through yet, taking your order?
No, they said they were going to have that around here, and I haven't seen it yet, thankfully.
About maybe a year and a half ago, it happened to me, and I was so ready for my order to be wrong because it's normally wrong at most drive-throughs that I go to, especially in that area, and everything was right. And when I heard that it was AI doing it and it wasn't like a recording that cuts into a person, I was like, all right, I'm gonna talk totally normally, and I'm not gonna try to like be super clear or anything, and just see how it goes. And it was perfect, like a year and a half ago,
That's
and
crazy.
that was the first time since hearing AI music that I got really shook. So I think
Really?
looking at it just through the oh yeah, like have you heard like Suno 4.5 or like Suno 4.0 music or
No.
3.5 and 4.0? It's it's crazy how good they make music.
That
I showed a
sucks.
guy about a year ago who makes music, and I showed him this track that I had it make for me, and the drums really freaked him out. He's like, "There's like soul in that." It's like this isn't. It's just not something he could have ever imagined a computer coming up with. Um, I think if you look at like the broader context of what AI is doing, it becomes a lot more apparent that this isn't just chat. People think about it like it's just chatbots, and that's a mistake.
Well, like when it comes down to production, like I used to, try to make music, and the producers I was working with, they would try to get like live samples. So as long as the
Mm-hmm.
AI has access to like live samples, you're gonna hear the soul in the music, and it's using like similar algorithms to get whatever it wants to get to make this certain sound. So I guess if it can put all the things in the right places and knows what the earworms are, it can produce something decent. At the same time, that just sucks for artists to be that replaceable in some avenues of music. I would say country would be the first one to go.
It's so here's the thing. You can be super specific with the genre. So like I make AI music for myself and I end up listening to the songs. Like some of them are like my favorite songs to listen to at the moment. Because I know what genres I like, and then I write the lyrics, and then it ends up being like personal to me. So like that's a good hook for a song if you're like, oh, I really feel that. And if it's good, it's good. I think that until you hear it, I just don't think that you can possibly understand just how far we've come with it. Uh, it's pretty crazy. I just sent you a link to one. It's something that I made. I just whipped it up one day. Um, it's not like a real personal one or anything, but like everything happens when it's supposed to, and it's fucking crazy. Like from the vocals of like when they inflect the emotion and everything to like when the breakdowns happen, everything is the way that it's supposed to be. Man, this arm keeps on sliding down on me bad.
Yeah, I see that. It's giving you problems today.
Well, this is pretty makeshift here. I'm sort of set up on I don't know if you know this. I live in Tuna Chip's house.
What?
Yeah. But he doesn't live here.
Okay, I'm confused now.
My homie hooked me up.
So,
And he took his computer off of the desk area, so I sat up to this desk area, and he has an arm that's already here, and I think my mic's just heavier than it's set up for, so it just keeps falling down.
right on. Wow.
And I'm using a camera that he left here, but I want to get my camera because it's a much better quality.
Yeah, I've been trying to talk to Tuna for a minute. I just haven't caught him at the right time.
He's
He was
so
moving.
busy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he is moving. And like, let me put it this way: I've been here since December, and like we've talked a couple of times, but like he's at the house maybe once a week, and he's usually like in and out. Like him and I haven't played a single video game together. We've played a card game one time when I first moved here. He is busy.
Right, I respect the hustle. Got to get it done, before everything goes to shit. Make that money. Buy
He's
the
making
dip.
some in-depth videos about video games.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Like what is the purpose of the player? Like what role does a player play in this kind of a game? What role does the game developer play in this kind of a game? What does it mean if you're like if the game has this kind of environment? And like sort of like gaming philosophy. I know when right now he's working on like algorithm based games.
Hmm.
Pretty interesting stuff if you're into that.
I mean, I'll check it
If
out. I like Tuna's work.
Yeah, he's certainly put in the homework. He's read some books about like the philosophy of like behind video games and all that.
Hmm. Okay, fair enough. Like I mostly just watch things on ARGs for the most part and just play mindless games and Magic. So
The one that he's doing now, algorithm based games, has a lot to do with games like Magic.
I believe that. Yeah,
Speaking of, did
Magic
you
is
check out the new
foul.
set?
I just saw that it dropped like what was it, yesterday or today, and I have no idea what's in it because I haven't been paying attention, but I'm already irritated.
There's a new Ugin. Cost 7 mana. When you cast it, exile a monocolored permanent. Whenever you cast a colorless spell, exile target monocolored permanent.
Oh jeez.
Yeah, I play at ElderDrazi.
Why not? Let's bring back ElderDrazi. It worked fine the first time.
You don't play Arena, do you?
Yeah, I play on Arena, but I
What?
just only play Standard.
I have Standard. You don't play Brawl?
Nah, I don't play Brawl. I need to.
I started playing Brawl a lot because I found out I built Narset on there,
Oh, nice.
and it's a little watered down, but I
Hey, thank
mean
you,
I got
Change
Thousand Year
Box.
Storm.
Yeah, see, like
I got
their wild card
I got a lot
system
of the tools.
pisses me off, and I do not want to give Hasbro money, so I do play Arena, and I only play like to play for free, because like buying anything or giving them any money just makes me unhappy with life.
There's fetch lands too.
Nice. Yeah, that's necessary. So like how many wild cards I get is pretty much what I'm limited to, and so I started to build something a bit older, but it sucked up all my cards. So then I'm not gonna buy
Yeah,
more. So it's just gonna take me forever to finish it. So like I just end up stuck in standard to farm cards.
that's fair. I play green black, mid range in
Oh,
standard.
nice. I'm playing the Esper Bounce, and then I already had
Oh,
the Zur
I hate that deck.
thing. Yeah, it's freaking disgusting. I'm not even gonna front. And then I have the red deck nonsense like always because it's cheap to make. And then I was playing that
It's
blue
so
white, that thing that shouldn't exist. That blue white deck that yanks out 3 drops from the graveyard.
yeah, that's inappropriate.
It shouldn't exist.
I hate that. Yeah, where like turn 4 you just automatically win and you can't even a counter spell won't stop you because you already have omniscience out and you can play counter spells for free.
It's
Yeah.
not cool.
I don't have the wild cards to make that, but I would play it just to like get a grind rank.
It's funny because like I'll play it and then people quit because they already know what I'm doing, and then I'll go to play another deck, and then I'll run into that deck and just be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
I already know what's up.
That's fair. That's a totally fair response to
So you
that deck.
mentioned the Duke
It's
because I wanted to ask you something.
yeah.
So how does Mr. Girl feel about the current events?
Uh
Like, does he feel
I don't know if he said
exonerated?
anything about tariffs.
No, no,
Oh,
no.
oh, oh.
Yeah.
I think he's taking it. He has taken it. I think in I think his fans want him to be a little more smug than he is.
What? Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'd say he's handling it a lot more gracefully than you would expect. Um, yeah. Do you know who Benny is?
Doesn't ring a bell.
Benny's one of his frequent chatters. And he's come in and he was like way more aggressive with it. He's like, no, fuck all these people who aren't like going hard against Destiny right now. Like no, just shut the fuck up. Like you're wrong. Fuck you. Like if you're not like straight up calling him out, uh, and saying Mr. Girl is right, like fuck you. Yeah, I think that Mr. Girl has gotten he hasn't really done a whole lot on the people that have like retroactively been like he was right. Like Chud. Chud even said when I was going through the Mr. Girl report, I was more harsh than I should have been. Uh I know JSTLK is was pumping up Mr. Girl a lot more.
I believe it.
Fun fact, after our conversation's over, I'm going to be reviewing. He just dropped a episode of his podcast. He has the DDoS kid and his dad on.
Oh, geez. Are you
Right?
serious? Okay, that's vicious. See,
I
that's how you
saw
play.
I saw that. I was just like looking at my phone. I was like, "What?" And it was like an hour before this, and I was like, I was like, I have to go over it afterward. That's crazy. On a day that I'm already all set up to stream, like, let's go. That's the most I would say that's the most like contenty content he's put out in a very long time.
That is hilarious. Yeah, I'm definitely vibing with the idea that he should feel exonerated because what he was saying was pretty much on the money at the time. And now that people are in the sights of what's going on, they're coming over to his side on this. And I'm not going to
Yeah,
disagree, but J Stock or JST, however you say his name, like he can catch whatever he's catching because he was pretty much exactly where he shouldn't have been and trying to benefit from something he had no business benefiting from. And it came back and bit him in the ass. So I have zero sympathy for that dude.
I think that it's funny if you were if so like first like I feel exonerated. I can tell you that. Like why do you support that guy? All that like because he's right. Like, I don't stand by people based on like pure loyalty here. I go based on who's saying what's correct, and I think that he did the right thing for the right reasons, and it cost him a lot. And that's always been what I was saying. And then people now look at it and like, oh, this feels prophetic. Like, no, it doesn't feel prophetic at all. If you were there, it seemed like he just said what he like everybody should have known was going to happen.
And I'm honestly just waiting for, whatever happens in court to happen, and whatever comes out in the wash comes out in the wash. Like, I really have no stake in any of it. I've never dealt with the people involved. I think out of anybody in that orbit, there's only like two people that I've spoken to, and that's Mr. Girl and Fanatic. And then beyond that, I don't deal with anybody really from those circles or were in those circles. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. And like both of those individuals had severe misgivings about Destiny by the time everything was over and done with in their relationship.
I talked to Fnatic a little while ago. I can't remember who put me in touch with him. It wasn't you, was it?
I
It might have
don't
been.
think so.
Might have been a mutual friend of ours. It was right after he put out. Maybe I reached out. I don't remember, but he put out that video breaking down how Destiny did him dirty.
Yeah.
And then towards the end of that, I brought up Mr. Girl, and Fnatic don't like Mr. Girl neither.
I know that.
But Fnatic just thinks Mr. Girl straight up is a pedophile. That's why.
I mean, that's the way
Or
a lot of
at
people
least,
feel.
let me put it this way: he didn't say that, but he's like, you don't say jokes about stuff like that. You don't talk about that stuff. And so, like, instantly, like, you're not somebody I can talk to or respect. Like, instant disqualification. And I understand that, but also you're in a weird circle. if this is so easily disqualified. Roots, yeah, Mr. Girl has a new podcast with the DDoS kid, and we're gonna go over it after Lethe and I talk. It's honestly, this is like the when I seen that, that's like Mr. Girl breaking through the door, dick and balls just a swinging. It's one thing to talk about the DDoS kid shit, but like to have him on, nobody's done that in all this time.
Yeah,
which is kind of crazy that it hasn't happened.
That's a crazy
he's
callback.
Like, it's like one of the it's almost like the strongest Titan in the story against Destiny is just like some deep fictional lore that exists that every once in a while gets touched on. But this brings it right back into the current conversation. I would say I think this is the smartest podcast drop that he's had in a very long time, insofar as getting people to look at his stuff. Because how do you not hear the DDoS kid and his dad are being interviewed and not be like, "Oh, you gotta hear that."
Well,
we've only ever gotten one side of the story this whole time.
So, are you on Twitch right now?
Yeah, I should have my Twitch pulled up. I'm supposed to be, at least if Restream's doing its job. Sometimes it doesn't.
Because I don't see you up on my list, but because if that's the case, I'll just go ahead and raid into you right now and let you get that thing popping, because I'm sure people want to see that.
I'm not.
Yeah, I
fucking
don't see you on my
Restream. Let me
list.
see. I wonder why I'm not. It says, well, it also says YouTube's offline on Restream, but I am on YouTube.
Yeah, because I know you're on my favorites list, so I'm like, why is he not here if he's streaming?
Let me... Do you use Restream too?
I do not. I probably should.
Oh, do you only do Twitch?
I do Twitch and YouTube, but I'm using OBS for both of them.
I gotcha. It has the right information too. I don't know why. No, I guess I'm just on YouTube.
Oh, fair enough. Well, then I'll just send everybody off to Gibbs. It's been a minute since I rated Gibbs.
But if they do want to see the DDoS thing and my takes on it, they can always just hop over to youtube.com/@ElderDrazi.
Yeah, definitely. Get another plug in for yourself. Let everybody know who you are. And thank you again for having this conversation. I think this was a banger.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And also, I miss you, man. You're one of my favorite people to talk to. The conversation never lapses, and you're one of the few people that are both intelligent and reasonable that I talk to. There are a lot of smart people that have no reasonability to them whatsoever in this space.
High praise, high praise. Thank you. And your impeccable style and great breadth of information, and like the fact that you don't take the mainstream view on all of it and you can have a nuanced view all the way through is always refreshing for me. So I always enjoy our conversations.
I appreciate that a lot. I try. I try to think for myself.
You definitely do.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to go ahead and hit
Uh,
that raid button. Go ahead and give yourself a plug.
uh, X and YouTube, Twitch, all ElderDrazi. Pretty easy to find me. And how about you? How do people find you?
Hey, Lethe Water Kai on every platform you're going to find me on, be it Twitter, because we're going to dead name that until the wheels fall off, Twitch, and YouTube. Check me out anytime. I stream every Wednesday at about the same time.
That's what's up. You still doing panels?
Well, so I stopped doing the panels because, like, honestly, doing the politics discourse and like having slimy ass people on that not getting pushback or over talking people, I feel is like literally toxic to American society at this point. So rather than continuing to platform that, I'd rather have conversations like this, and then I do an open panel, but I guess nobody wanted to jump in today. And it gives people a better understanding of the epistemology of the individual you're speaking to versus, you know, one person trying to like fight through 4 or 5 other people to get their views across. You can like literally drill down on what somebody thinks and where they're coming from. So I think it gives
That
you a
makes
better
sense.
idea.
Yeah, I think this space needs more individual conversations that sort of just vanished.
Yeah, and then like
What?
people are able to hide in the group and have some really horrendous views. Yet when you get them in a one-on-one conversation, all of a sudden you start hearing some horrendous shit, and you know you're gonna head down a rabbit hole.
That's that's a very, very good point. Yeah, it is too easy for them to hide. Guys, it's Lethe Waterkai. If you don't follow him, follow him. Uh, he's one of the few good faith people we have left.
All right, so rating
What?
into Gibbs, and thank you again, chat. As always, you are the winners. And shout out to ElderDrazi's chat. Appreciate all of you. Thanks for hanging out, and I will catch you guys next time.
Take it easy.
Hitting the raid. 2, 1. Peace.
Take care.